Hello. Good morning, everybody. Another day, another dollar. The stock market, it seems like it's walking on a tightrope, is the title for today's session. Pull up a chair, grab a cup of coffee. Let's go ahead and settle in, and we'll talk about how the semis they just don't know any destruction, and I guess we're just going to keep walking the tightrope. Going to keep walking it. Good morning. Like to give people a couple of minutes to get settled in. Once again, we have the bilingual stock market channel leader here today, Alvaro. Good morning, Alvaro. Lynn's in the house. SK's in the house. Aisha's in the house. Hello, guys. How's everybody doing today? Oh, yeah. Okay. Cinco de Mayo. Good point. Thanks, Aisha. Yeah. Happy Cinco de Mayo, everybody. Happy Cinco de Mayo. Had Palantir report earnings last night. We'll be going over that. The idea that Bitcoin might end up being somewhere where people are going to start moving money, that seems to be playing out. We kind of were discussing that yesterday. And we discussed also yesterday to buy the dip. You remember that? I told you right around that 714 area. Looks like we ended up bouncing right at 715. So I guess I was a little off. I'll work on trying to be more precise next time. So Beverly is in the house. Glenda is in the house. Welcome, guys. Welcome. We'll give it about another 30 seconds, and then we'll get started here with the pre-market live. So we got earnings that are reporting today. Man, AMD is reporting tonight. That's going to be a big one. Fireworks are going to go off tonight, and it's one of the big ones left, and that sucker has just been exploding to the top. 8:17, let's go ahead and let's get started. So you can see right now that I have the different markets up here. I have the SPY, the Qs, the DIA, and the IWM, and basically they're all looking pretty good. You're looking like looking very strong in these two markets. Actually, the Dow is actually pulling back and kind of consolidating in a little bit of a range right here, which is kind of interesting for the Dow. But risk on is actually very strong because you can see right here the IWM is actually breaking up into near-term highs. And then once again, as I mentioned yesterday, and we're keeping this very close watch on this, but it looks like Bitcoin's wanting to take off. You see here how it broke over the high there, and it actually is a very nice move, a nice impulse move up there to about 46. Now, I will mention to you that we're starting to get a little bit extended here from this 20 period moving average. So it's not going to get up there too much more before it's going to have to actually wait for just a little while. You see how we had this move right here, and then you had your 20, basically your 20 period right here, and your 50 period right here, and so it ended up like having to hold off for a while until the moving average actually caught up with it, right? So that's something that you want to keep on you keep in the back of your mind, that as these stocks continue to rip up like that and rip down from underneath the 20 right here to ripping over and then just continuing to pull it up. It is a pull up now on the 20 period, but the 20 period is going to be a little bit of a magnet and kind of holding it back into its orbit. That's the way that works. Now gold really can't get a bid because every time it comes up into resistance, it's actually getting knocked down. And the reason why is because of interest rates. And basically you're seeing that there's a ratio, an equal ratio to these two right here between TLT and gold. And that's actually goes for metals across the board. Okay. And the biggest driver to that though is your oil. Now oil actually caught a very nice bid here yesterday, right? So it caught a bid right here, but it was really just back testing this breakdown right here, and now it's actually dropping back down. Now, oil is something that is going to be news driven. Now, the technicals are playing out, so we'll pay attention to the technicals. I want to show you. This is what I'm talking about right here. We have this this trend channel right here. and it ended up breaking down out of this trend channel, right? And then what did we get? We got ourselves a back test right here, okay? And then it ended up breaking down off of that back test. And you might not be able to see it, but if you look here, I have this thing called a spike through. I do this little thing called a spike through when I see this kind of, a lot of volatility going on. I was going to say mucho volatility because I speak a lot of Spanish and it's terrible. So anyhow, there's mucho volatility in USO. Anyhow, so I put this spike through right here, and notice it ended up coming up, back testing that and losing it. And it actually did it again. I haven't extended that line, but it actually almost back tested perfectly to that line, and now it's coming down. So oil is probably going to go down unless we have some type of macro news event that actually drives it up higher. And that's actually good for stocks. Once again, we're in a buy the dip kind of market. Let's take a look at what's going on with the futures exactly as we speak right now. So as we're speaking right now, the futures are up slightly. They're looking like they're a little bit risk on because if you're noticing the NASDAQ and the Russell are leading the SPY, that's something that you want to see if you want to be risk on. Also, the VIX is down a little bit, right? But then also, what is actually probably the biggest driver is right here when you look at it, because this actually drove it down yesterday. And now this is actually down today. And this is the biggest driver also for your metals. So and it's not that, once again, it's not like oil, if it just kind of hangs around this mark, that stocks aren't going to continue to go up. But this does have a strong relationship to the metals, okay? And so whatever's happening with oil, that's what's going to go on with metals. That's why I'm short-term bearish right now. But, we could end up seeing a nice relief rally possibly very soon out of these metals. So maybe it's time to start to put those on your list too. Because if you're trying to find a space where you can get in at, maybe that's something to think about. Let's look at what happened in the market yesterday. So basically, we had that news, that there was some problems with Iran attacking ships, and it knocked the market down. And it knocked it right down into that area that we talked about yesterday. And then it found support, which is not surprising. This market, it has people that want to buy into this market. And as soon as you had that major candle right here, the bulls came right back in and said, okay, I will double you down right now and we'll go higher. So the bulls are still in control of this market. That's all there is to it. The bulls are in control. Unless there is follow through on the news, the bulls are in control. They are always going to bounce this market. And what did they do in the aftermarket? They bounced the market. So that's what we're looking at. Let's go ahead and let's take a look at my pre-market report. Guys, the pre-market report is available to you. It looks like my subscription form. I need to actually tweak this. It's not even very readable. I'll have that fixed for you later on today. I'm putting the subscription form in the chat right there. If you want to have the pre-market report delivered to your inbox, I've already got 20 subscribers. It's only been available for the last 2 days, so that's kind of exciting. It's in beta phase right now, so take it a little bit with a grain of salt, but I'd say it's about 95%, 98% there. So let's go ahead and we'll take a look at the pre-market report. This actually gets delivered to your inbox between 5 o'clock and 5:30. So today's session, AI earnings, the market, Palantir actually kicked butt last night, but it actually went down. It had over 85% year-on-year revenue with 1.63 billion, raised the guidance also, and now it's actually down in the pre-market. And when you look at it, let's see here. Let's go ahead and we'll take this off now, and we will look at, see here, before the open, after the close today, the futures, yeah, we got Bitcoin's up. We'll come back to this. I wanted you to take a look at the earnings from yesterday. So we look at yesterday's after the close, and then we'll just sort by there. And there's Palantir right there. And okay, so Palantir is catching a bid right now. Look at that. Palantir is catching a bid. It's right here. All right. Sometimes my drawing tool doesn't want to work for me really well. Let's see here. It's right here. Here you go. It's right here. There's Palantir right there, okay? So it's only down 1.7%. And you can see actually that it's actually now up in every time frame. That's what this is showing, the 5, 15-minute, 1 hour, 4 hour, daily, weekly, right? It's up in every single time frame. So it's bouncing around. We're going to go over Palantir today. So hang around. Hang around. We're going to actually look at Palantir. But Palantir actually was down 3%. And you can see that on my pre-market report that I was just showing to you just a second ago. So let's get back into the pre-market report. Strait of Hormuz. You know what? Trump decided he was going to make it a semi-permeable blockade, which means that he was going to let the ships through that he wanted to let through, but the Iranian ships would not go through. And that's why Iran attacked with 4 attacks. That was actually going to put negotiations in Trump's favor, and they didn't like that. And so we'll see how that plays out. We got AMD is on the docket for tonight. As I mentioned, we got these are your pre-market movers right now. And so these ones right now, they're putting in a lot of volume. Palantir, Intel, yesterday from the open, it actually pulled back, but now it's up from today. And Oracle's been a mover, MicroStrategy, PayPal. So going down here to the gap ups, Circle's been a gap up here today. So Circle is a gap up, MU is a gap up, Oracle and Intel continuing to move down here. MicroStrategy is also a gap up. Your gap downs, Palantir, as I mentioned, Sasir, you can see that as of 5 o'clock that it was actually down 3.1%. So then your high volume leaders, NVIDIA, as always, Palantir, MU, and AMD. Okay, so Bud had a very nice earnings report, and that's actually showing before the open today. Where is Bud? Bud. There it is right there. So there's Bud. It's actually up 6.47%. It's had a little bit of a pullback in the 1 hour and the 15-minute time frames, and it looks like it's actually trying to turn around from there. So Bud could be something you might want to put on your watch list. Shopify, okay, so at 5 o'clock, it was actually looking good, but Shopify is actually went down about 7%. It's actually getting hit pretty hard today. And it's interesting, though, because Shopify kind of had a nice earnings report. And I expected that they would do well because I have some friends that use Shopify. So I thought that they would do pretty well. And also they're using artificial intelligence. But Shopify is not actually being loved by the market right now. So we'll see how that plays out. All right. And then after the close, we got AMD and Pins. Pins is actually moving quite a bit today, right now. And we got MicroStrategy. So Palantir, is it a sell news event? I don't know. Right now, it's actually going back up. So that's part of the news right there. Oil is a non-factor unless oil's probably going to tick, kind of inch back down unless we get some major news. But oil at any time could be ripping up, and you got to be on your P's and Q's and ready to actually change your tune in a heartbeat. Fed chair transition, Taiwan. We have the JOLTS that is coming out today at 10 o'clock. So put that on your radar. Could see some things move around 10 o'clock today. And Uber's some earnings reports down the road. You got Uber, ARM, Snap. So we'll take a look at that real quick. These are your earnings reports, for the rest of the week, but the big ones are actually, the big one actually is today. This is gonna be major right here. And MicroStrategy, I think as well, is pretty major. I think ARM is going to be pretty fascinating also. So ARM is on the list as well. So we're starting to wind down though with some of the big players. And then Datadog. And, I'm going to actually be very happy to have MicroStrategy off because I actually am looking at that as possibly my Bitcoin play if Bitcoin actually is going to pick up some strength. So that's what I'm thinking about that. So bottom line, watch your 10 o'clock hour. The tape today is probably going to trade a little bit flat unless people are trying to get ahead of earnings. Who knows? Anyhow, play your price action. So let's get into the charts. Let's go ahead and we'll take a look at the SPY to begin with, like we always do. And before I do that, actually, let's look at the max pain on the SPY because I think that has been very helpful. So max pain on the SPY right now for Cinco de Mayo is, it's crazy, 688. Look at that put wall at 688. But if we actually draw this out larger, then the most nearest put wall is right here around 710. And then you can also see max pain for today is actually 711. So max pain for today is 711. And the SPY is, where is the SPY? Let me see here. SPY is trading, hold on. SPY right now is trading at 721. So 710 would be a heck of a move down. So not sure we're going to get down to 710. But I also want to look at this on the weekly time frame chart. So on the weekly time frame, guys, there is so many puts in the system. You know what? I've heard about the most hated markets. This is a hated bull market. That's all there is to it. You know what? You're going to have to put it aside. There's 700. You got people at 700. You got a million friggin' puts down here at 700. That is a put wall. Until we actually get rid of these puts, until people start thinking to themselves, you know what? I got to start buying calls. This market is just going to continue to go up. This market is going to continue to make people feel the pain. You just got to get bullish. You got to get bullish even if you don't like it. Look at this. Well, let's look at next week. Next week's the same. Look at this. That's the reason. Let's get back into the charts now. Okay, we did the max pain. I already told you about the economic numbers that are coming out. So let's go ahead. Let's run the charts. So this is bullish. This is extremely bullish. It's ran up. It had a nice little consolidation range right here. This was a beautiful consolidation range, that it put in. Let's go ahead and make my things down a little bit less there. So there's your consolidation range, putting in another consolidation range right here at the top. And this thing just wants to go up, up and away. And so you're doing the same thing here. Nice little, that is institutional buying right there. When you see such a nice chop like that, they're buying on that every low right there on the 4-hour time frame chart. They're actually picking it right up here off of the 20-period moving average every single time, picking that up. We also got a snapback high that's actually looking like it's providing support as well. And so that snapback high on the 4-hour time frame chart is 1976. Let's just call it 720. Let's go ahead and go into a full zoom on the charts. We'll go to the 1-hour chart on the SPY. Guys, if you have any requests for tickers, we're at 8:33 right now, doing fine on the time. So what are we looking at? Go ahead and put it into the chat. We have a snapback high up here at 725, basically. You also have a pivot at 724. So 724, 725 area, you can mark that as an area where you should actually see a reaction, okay? And then you have that snapback here on the 1 hour at 715. 715. My call out yesterday was a little off. I called around the 714 area. They brought it down to the 715, and then they just ripped you right back up. They didn't even give you a chance to actually mark out a trend line. They just did a rip up, and then they said, we're gone. This is a very difficult thing to get in on. And also, you're actually, if you're trying to get in on this, you're actually having to widen out your stop loss. Say, for example, you want to actually get in after it's actually crossed over, actually going green over red, right? So you'd want to cross over. You'd probably be getting in somewhere around 718. You'd have to put your stop loss all the way down here at 714. So that's a very difficult entry to get in on. But maybe on a lower time frame, you could have found a better entry. So on the 1 hour, there's your numbers. On your 15-minute chart, your pre-market high is right here. We're right at the pre-market high as we speak. The pre-market high is pretty much around 722. Your pre-market low is 718.75. The balance range, you guys, is we're way up high on the balance range, as you can see. So here's our balance range, and we are hanging out right up here in the balance range with price action. If we come in on the open on that, it's probably an opportunity to maybe do a quick scalp on this. It breaks down underneath of this. This is actually probably the play for you. They'll probably drive it up just to get people excited, but then they're going to pull this thing back down is what they've been doing recently, okay? And then they'll pick it up off of one of these moving averages or maybe off of this pre-market low right here, 718.75. Love to kind of dig you down deep, but you got your 200 period moving average, you got your 50 period moving average, spike down below that 20 period moving average. So right in this 720 to 718 area, you probably could end up seeing a reaction for a go long. So, but the play here the play that actually gives you the cleanest move is once you do get above here and then you do a retest, then you actually can go long on that. So that's what we got going on the SPY. I also want to take a look at Bitcoin because I do believe Bitcoin seems to be making a move. So let's go ahead and take a look at that right now. And I'm going to change this back to futures and we'll just go ahead and put Bitcoin out there on the list. So you can see that Bitcoin, when you're looking, we'll go ahead and maximize this main chart right here. But Bitcoin actually has a very nice price action within this channel right here. So this is your daily channel right here, okay? That's a daily channel. It's pushing up against that daily channel, coming in off of this 20 period moving average. This is on a 24-hour time frame chart that I use because of the being in the pre-market and wanting to show pre-market action. But you have yourself a pretty nice ABC move right here. You got your A move right here, your B move right here, and then your C move will actually be like that. So let's actually pull a Fibonacci on that if that ends up being the ABC move. So this is how we'll pull that Fibonacci. It's a Fibonacci extension from the 65 on the low. There's the 65, pulling this off of the high, pulling that off of the low. And this implies a first target right here of right around 84,000. And then your upper target's right around 90,000, which is what I was telling you yesterday when I was saying I was expecting it to kind of come up here and then come into this 200 period moving average. And then also you can see that there's an uptrend line that it actually broke out of right here. It's kind of faint because it hasn't been in play for a long time. So I kind of faint these things out. But that's at 94,000. We can get up above here. We'll probably end up seeing some resistance. It's getting a little extended from the 20 period moving average. It'll probably come back and want to retest this top of this channel and then get up and over. But what you're also seeing is that it broke out of this range finally right here. It broke out of this range and then retested on that range and then went up towards the top. That's bullish. That's beautiful. It's actually showing us that it's put in a very nice support base right here, so that you can count on that. If you're on a swing long, you can pretty much put your stop loss underneath of that. You should be pretty safe because you've got a lot of buyers that actually got in from that point on. Let's go over here now to the 4-hour time frame chart, taking a look at Bitcoin. And then the way I trade Bitcoin is I find derivatives to trade. For example, MicroStrategy, Coin. I've been wanting to trade Coin, but Coin is also reporting earnings. So once again, it's had this huge move up, and then it's had a small move down, and now it's not doing its second move up. And that move up actually was a very clean move right here when you're looking at it. A very nice channel right here. See this? Very nice channel on that move up. Then the move down, that was even clean. So a lot of times what will end up happening when you get a clean move up like that, it'll actually get a little choppy now, on that second part of the leg, right? So you have your A leg is right here. No, here, that's not what I wanted. This is what I wanted. Your A leg's right here, your B leg's right here, and then your C leg right here. A lot of times that'll actually get a little bit choppy. So it'll actually, do one of these numbers, right? So it's not going to be probably as clean. And I would actually think that we're going to probably lose this trend line right here for a back test after. It would be nice to see if we can get up above first though, then get a back test, right? And then actually end up going longer once again. And that's your in on that. So that's what I'm seeing for Bitcoin. At least that's the way I would play it. Looking on the 1-hour time frame chart, let's see if we can get some. Let's see if we got any. Basically my fib level is your next level right here because you can see it's right there, 85,000. 84 to 85,000 is the next level on the 1 hour time frame chart if this thing is going to go up. If it's going to pull back, you got to pull back right here at 79,930 right here and 80,000, right? So those are your numbers on your pivots on the pullback on the 1 hour time frame chart. Once again, this is doing the exact same thing that the SPY was doing. You're pushing up into this range. You got yourself a little bit of a triangle consolidation going on right here. And that triangle consolidation is happening right here at the pre-market high. Your pre-market high is 781.72. Your pre-market low is way down here. Not sure we're going to visit that today. I wouldn't be surprised to see 80,000. 80,000. Okay, 80,750, 80,750, 80,600, where the open was at yesterday, or your prior day high, right in between this range right here. Actually, this is where I would be expecting to see a reaction right here. If we can get a pullback into that range, maybe pull yourself a trend line down. The stock ends up, pulling back, bouncing off the trend line, and then finally actually has a break and does one of these numbers. Maybe that's your go long there. Okay, so that might be the way you could actually play that. All right. I also promised Alvaro we were going to take a look at Palantir, so let's do Palantir next on the list. We're going back to the 24-hour time frame, and I'm going to throw Palantir on my chart here. PLTR, and see what's going on with Palantir. So, had a pretty good reaction on the earnings. It spiked up, but then it lost it right there at 150. And that 150, you can kind of see that was prior support right here for the longest time in a trading range right through here. And it actually has been an area of resistance for quite a while. We're going to have to actually put that we're going to have to mark that because it's not showing up on my numbers. So occasionally I actually do have to put a mark out. The reason I actually developed these indicators like my Pivot Pro was because I don't like to have to put a bunch of marks on my charts. It actually saves me a lot of times to actually just have these on already for me. But since this is a big number, we're going to actually put it on there. I'm just going to throw it at the 150 because 150 is that big round number. And you can see that actually has been an area of support. So it was trading between the 161 and the 150 for the longest time. Down here, it kept trying to get up above 150, and then it had to look above and fail, as you could see right here. Look above, fail. When you look above and fail, you pay the price big time. Went down even beyond the previous range, and actually then set up a new range right here, a new range right there, and now it's back in the top part of that trading range, but it's got to get up above that, and it's actually throwing in that upper wick right here. But if it gets above this upper wick right there, you're in business. So you can mark off the top of that wick right there, which is a little bit higher than 150. We want to see it get above that, come back and retest. See how it's always going to come back. I think you're pretty much always going to come back and retest. This thing is trading sideways right now in a big time way. Look at your slopes right now, 5, 10, 20, they're neutral. The 50, even though the 50 is slightly down according to my calculations, just slightly down. It's probably taking this part into consideration as well. It's that just means it's basically neutral. And your 200 is actually, your 200 is actually more of a neutral than down, even though my calculations are coming in with a down. So basically, this thing is sideways in your daily price action, and that's very important to know because now you can't count on your moving averages as much for price and support. Your moving averages, it ends up flowing up and over your moving average. So your moving averages are right here. And what's price doing? It's going up and over, up and over, up and over. Okay, sideways moving averages, that's the way price action trades. Look at this. The moving averages are going down. Can I trust the moving average? Look at here. I can trust the 20 here, can trust the 20 here, can trust the 20 here, can trust the 20 here. On the breakout, can trust the 20 here. Now you can trust it here for a minute, but now it's going sideways. You can't trust it, right? You understand? So there's a little tip for you about moving averages and how to trade them, okay? You don't pay the moving averages. They end up being more of a center of gravity when they're trading sideways. All right, we have on Palantir, as you can see, we're in a downward trend. on the daily time frame chart, as you can see right here. So this is actually your channel that it's in, and it's trying to break out of that channel. So that's another thing that we're contending with Palantir. So that's probably why it's actually struggling so mightily right now to actually have some positive reaction to this, you know. So it's got its work ahead of it, and it's got the other problem with it is that you're looking at, it's got all of this overhead. I mean, it's just got massive overhead over here, right? You know, you got buyers right here. They're waiting to break even. You got people that bought right here. You got people that bought right here. The first time this thing breaks out, this is why I look for like first time failures. First time this thing breaks out, these sellers are in the market. They're like, let me get out. Let me get out now. Thank God, I'm almost broke even. And that's why you see these things break out. They come back and retest, and then they go longer. This thing is going to take like 3 or 4 failures before it actually decides to move up. And honestly, it's got its work ahead of itself. It's actually failed already when you're looking at it. It's failed this trend line, and now it lost this trend line. So if we can get this ABC move, maybe we get 150. It's probably going to have some serious resistance in this area as well. This one's going to struggle on a long-term basis, maybe because of that type of guidance that it had. Maybe this is actually a great investment. But if you're trying to scalp this or even swing trade this, you're going to have to be very careful with it. Right now, it's struggling. It's struggling, but it is actually picking up some strength right now in the pre-market, as you can see. So we're up on the high end of the pre-market right here. It's at the high of the end of the pre-market high. So your pre-market high is 144.5. Your pre-market low is 140.2. Probably this thing is going to see some. This is probably going to be one of those ones that it's going to bounce up on the open. Then you're just going to have to see how it plays. If you get above that pre-market high, you could possibly get a scalp on this, so going long. But if this thing actually bounces up above the pre-market high, because you're already sitting here at the top of this range, and then you end up failing, then this sucker's going down. It'll probably come all the way down to the pre-market low. So that's something to think about that, okay? So there's 2 different plays on that. Let me show it to you one more time. Yeah, well, I mean, it just depends on how it opens. I mean, it could actually come like this, and then want to do like this, like that. So that's option A. Option B, it actually rips right out the gate, but it actually comes back in for the retest and then goes up higher. Okay, that's if the bulls just decide that they're just going to rip it. Okay, that could end up happening. But I kind of think that what we're going to end up seeing is it rips open out of the gate, gets people excited, and then you're probably coming down to here, and then you might be able to actually pick up some more support. And we're probably going to be a little choppy on this price action right now. It's just in a chop range. That's my thinking about it. We'll see how it plays out. Huh? All right. What do we got on the time frame chart? Great. We got 12 minutes before I need to close. We got people who want to see Hood, Pins, Microsoft, GE. I'm not sure that there's much I can. Pins interests me because I've seen that it was up quite a bit, with the pre-market. So let's take a look at it. But I'm not sure that I could really offer a lot of insight into Pins. Okay, well, there's one thing I can offer right away. It's on its 200 period moving average. They put in a snapback high already on the 20 period moving average right here. You got a trading range right here that it's bouncing right into. Trading ranges are tough to get into. You really want to see consolidation. This is what you want to see when you're trying to get into a trading range. You want to see the stock price move up and then consolidate right along that lines, if I can kind of show you. So the price action is just doing this thing. It's kind of consolidating, and then it actually gets into that action. That's what you want to see if you're going into something like that. Look at what you're looking at right here. This was a huge consolidation here for almost an entire quarter. And then you ended up having this breakdown through here, right? So there's your breakdown. And then you had your capitulation breakdown. That's something that you always like to see, is a capitulation breakdown. Then it put in a very nice hammer candle and put in a snapback low. And from that point on, it was off to the races. 13.84 was your low there. Put in pivot low here over at 17 and then 20. 20 ended up becoming support. Your 20 period moving average was ended up being support. Came in off of that. Now it's actually having a reaction, a pre-earnings reaction. This thing is moving up into here. I'm not sure that it's going to get up above there. I think it's going to struggle in that regard. Let's take a look at the pre-market, see what's going on in the pre-market. Well, not the pre-market, but on the very low time frame chart, 15-minute chart on this thing. So whatever it was, I don't know if it was news. I don't know if it's trying to get ahead of earnings. I haven't had a chance to look at it. Been preparing this pre-market show for you, but it looks like it got all the way up to 25.5 and it gave it back right away. Now it's actually the pre-market high is 24.77. This one here, it could run. It could run. It definitely could run, but you got to get above and then do a retest because you got to know this. You can't get into something unless you know where you're going to put your stop loss. So you want to see a hammer candle. You want to see some type of positive bullish candle that says it's going to take out this high right here. And when you see that, then you can actually trade this up to the long side. Now, you know what? This thing could actually move down to the downside. And if it does move down to the downside, you got a lot of room here to run. There's no price action right there. That means there's no volume. So it's basically what I would call like an air gap. And with that type of an air gap, you could actually run down below this 24, come back, and then get down into that. And once again, throw your stop loss right up above here, and then your entry is even if you're possibly a lower time frame chart, you might be able to get down here, but maybe you get in here. And then your exit would be somewhere, in this range right here. You might actually take up some off on that 200 period and then maybe down here on the end of that. And you can see that that's a huge risk reward. Here's your risk, right? Let's say you entered right there, right? And then here's your reward on profit take two, profit take one, profit take two. There's your reward. So that's how you do your risk reward and have your stop losses on these kinds of things. Let's go ahead and take a look at, I want to look at the 24 guys. We're not going to do all 24. I'm just going to see if anything jumps out to me on the 24 or the 20. I'm sorry, the 20. We'll go ahead and we'll close down this window right here. 8:52 on the time frame right now. So what are we looking at? Hood is on a run. Hood is on a run. So, and it's actually coming up over the high. And it's coming into that 200 period moving average. Somebody requested Hood. Hood is on the list to take a look at. Hang out for Hood. AMD is putting in a little bit of a bear flag. I caught a nice day trade on this one. Made some good money on AMD when it broke down underneath of that after putting in two bullish candles and then failing. Loved this move right here. So AMD, maybe we put that on our list, especially since they're reporting earnings tonight. Amazon continues to inch up. That's a triangle consolidation is what we're looking at there on Amazon. So Amazon's got a very nice triangle consolidation going into that 276. It was bullish yesterday. I actually got stopped out on Amazon yesterday. Well, I lost a little bit of money, nothing major, but didn't get in on the big move. I think I was in a little early or something, maybe in right around here rather than here. And it ended up ripping up, and that's the way it's played sometimes. You can't win everything. Anybody claims that they're winning every move, run as far away as you can from those people because they're liars. All right, look at that coin. Look at coin, but you can't do too much with coin. Coin is right now going to report earnings. So if you're in coin, realize that earnings are coming up real soon. Intel is in the middle of the range, not much to do with that. Meta is in the middle of the range, but it's putting in a triangle consolidation. Somebody requested putting Meta on the list. You know what? Meta has been a loser lately, so Meta could actually be one of those ones where money flows back into it. So if we have time, we will do Meta, all right? So whoever requested Meta, who requested Meta? Let me look. Blah, 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 blah. Aisha, I love to try to take care of you, Aisha, okay? So if I can get Meta on the board, I'll get it on the board. Micron, this thing only knows how to go up. I swear to God, I want to short this stock so bad. If you look on the weekly time frame chart, you'll see why. I'm not even going to show it to you. Anyhow, the SPY, that's a beautiful look on the SPY. It's a melt up on the SPY. You can't do much better than that. Other than that, so what are we going to look at? We're going to look at Hood. We're going to look at AMD. We're going to look at Amazon. We're going to look at Coin. Okay. All right. That's what we use that for. So let's start with Hood since that was on the list. Somebody requested Hood. Going to our 24-hour time frame chart. We're going to look at Hood. What's under the hood for Hood? Well, Hood is not really a good-looking chart when you're looking at it. I mean, it's actually kind of a terrible-looking chart. You know, it's got all of this overhead resistance. I mean, massive overhead resistance, right? And then it had this huge breakdown. And then it went into this downtrend line right here at channel that it remained in. It ripped out of the downtrend, came back to back test it. Now it's actually now just barely breaking out of a daily downtrend line. And it's actually, I don't know, I have these projections, and it looks like one of those projections is actually offering some kind of resistance. Now, Elliott wave analysis says that you're always going to come back and retest these triangles. This triangle is at 120, so that's kind of interesting to think about if you ended up retesting that triangle. You had this triangle pattern right here that it was consolidating in for the longest time, and it ended up breaking down out of that triangle consolidation, right? So that's kind of interesting, but I'm not so sure that we're going to get that move as we speak right now. This thing is in a 5-wave move down, and I'm not even sure what the projection is on the 5-wave down, but let's take a look. I haven't shown you Elliott wave analysis on a stock in a while, so let's take a look at Elliott wave analysis on this stock. And yeah, we'll just go full size on this, right? So let's go ahead and put this up. And yeah, we already have Hood on here. Let's put the Elliott wave patterns on. And it's not even giving us the 5 projection, but the 5 is down under the 3. And the 3 is actually your low that you had right here. So your 5 has got to be somewhere, it's got to at least be somewhere around this 50 range. So in the long term, this is actually very bearish in the long term. But in the short term, okay, there's a possibility this thing could rip up, right? Because we're not, according to Elliott wave, right? You see here where this is purple? You see where this is purple? You see where this is it's kind of faint, right, my lines, but this is green, right? So this is green right now. Elliott is saying on the Elliott wave algorithm, it's saying it's a possibility it could actually rip a little bit higher than this. And that's right around the 100 range. So I'm not so sure. And you do have like very thin areas right here, and then you end up having support. So let's take a look at this now on my charts, which we can get some real numbers from, okay? So yeah, so it could actually rip up above this 91. It could get right up to around this 100. If it does end up getting that high, I think you better get out, or you better watch your price action. If you break a trend line, it's time to get out of that. Let's go to the 15-minute because we are at 8:58, and I want to actually look at AMD. We're looking at a triangle consolidation going into on a 15-minute. You're going into the open on a triangle consolidation. Got a very nice looking 200 or 20-period moving average right here. When you're looking at it, 220-period moving average is moving up very nicely. Your moving averages are all lined up and they're stacked on the 15-minute time frame chart. Your pre-market high is 79, so break up above 79 and retest to go long. Your pre-market low is 77.33, but you got a lot of action underneath of your pre-market low, so you can't even really look at a pre-market low and think it's a go short, because what you got going on right here is you have a trading range right through here that, you know, there's a lot of people, there's buyers and sellers in here. And when you have this kind of trading range, you know, that's why you don't actually, you know, even though you break down this trend line, there's really no short in this, because what are you going to get out of it? You're going to get, you know, this is what I see people doing. Oh my God, I broke the trend line. There you go. And then it ends up like ripping up and you get chopped up out of here, right? You get chopped up, you know, and you want to get something that has some room to run, okay? So this only has room to run on the long side right now, unless it gets underneath of this range right here, right? Gets underneath of this range, now we have something to work with, because now it's got a little bit of area that could move down to pretty quickly to get down to the prior day low, you know, to get down to this prior day low or down to this pivot right around the 74.5 or 74 area. So the only trade on this is a long trade. It's a look for a buy the dip opportunity right now. Probably people trying to get ahead of it before earnings is what I'm thinking. So and they're seeing some positive price action on Bitcoin too. Microsoft. Let's take a look at Microsoft. Microsoft has been a ticker of interest of mine lately, but Microsoft is kind of in a chop action right now. If you're looking at it, I think it would benefit us to look at this thing on a 4-hour time frame chart. So let's skip over to the 4-hour. On the 4-hour time frame chart, yeah, you can see we're in a trading range right here between 432 and 411. And as long as you're in this trading range, you're going to get chopped a little bit, right? I mean, there's possibly some lower time frame action that you could do some work on, but you know, there's just so much price action happening in between here. And what do you have going on? You have your moving averages are flat, right? So you know, the middle of this range actually is going to end up being a support or a resistance area. So what is that middle range right there? The middle of that range is right around, and you also got what I would call a control bar right here at 425. See this bar right here? Look at that bar right there. All right. As soon as you hit that bar, it couldn't get over it. That bar was in control of the chart. And then the next bar right here, this one actually is a control bar as well. It's the most recent control bar, but this one here started the whole thing of the rip down right there. You got to get above that bar. There's a big time seller right there that got into the action, and you got to get above that bar to get bullish. So that's my idea on Microsoft. Going into the daily, going into the 15-minute time frame, this is another stock that's sitting here. It's out of balance to the high side, right? So it's out of balance. Here's your pre-market range. It's trading up here in the higher part of this range. That's what's happening across the board. So I'm looking for the market to have an initial push. I would love to see the market have an initial push, and I think it's coming down after that. I'll probably be sitting on my hands, and I'll be looking for a buy the dip opportunity. Not necessarily in Microsoft, but across the board. I'm seeing this across the board, and that's what I'm kind of thinking. So your pivot high is 416.50. Your pivot low is 413.8. You have a not pivot low, pre-market high and pre-market low. 420 is your high. If you get above this pivot high right here, it could run up to the 420. So that could be a play for you. Moving on to GE. Okay, GE. We're going to play GE as a scalp play only because I'm going to be quitting this stream here very soon. So GE, looks like GE has been getting killed right now. Is putting in a bear flag. So GE on this bear flag, you get underneath of the bear flag, underneath of that 270.5. That's where I'd want to get underneath of. You're going to see some chop action through here, but if it gets underneath of that, then you could actually end up going short on that. Now, you know what? This thing could play out to the high side and get over top of this pivot high right here. That's 282.25, right? And you got nothing there. There's nothing in this area right here. It's a gap area right there, and you could rip this thing a little bit higher and actually get a nice scalp on this. So I'm actually only going to give you the day trade on this, on GE, because we don't have time to actually get further on that. Just for the heck of it, I'll look on a 24-hour. Yeah, 24-hour. Yeah, this also it does not look good on the 24-hour as well, right? What are we looking at? I mean, that's your support area right there. This has been kind of your range that you've been in right there. Like it's down below this support area. Let me do that last one a little bit cleaner. It's down a little. They have a support area right through there. You know, this thing might want to take another leg lower. Wow, good call out. Who called that out? Let me see here. Somebody called it out. Arnold, thank you for sharing with me about GE. Very interesting. I'll put that on the list to take a look at today while I'm trading. We did Microsoft. Let's do Meta. Meta is where we're going to end off at because I also am interested in Meta. So Meta. I said Meta. Let's say Meta. It will be easier if I actually have it in there. Yeah, Meta's struggling because Meta is in a long-term downtrend. It's got a control bar right here at that 680 level. So if it gets up there at that level, You got to watch that. That's also, not only is that control bar, but it's where you're seeing this resistance on these spike throughs on this downtrend channel that we're in right now. It's really got to get above this upper area right through here first before it could be even considered bullish enough to get up to the next channel. Until then, this is actually, every time it comes up into this point, it's a time to actually short this. I think that Meta actually, if I look on the Elliott waves as well, curious about that, if Elliott has any information for us on Meta. So I think Meta's in a 5-wave down. No, I want to do Meta than NASDAQ. There we go. No, it's in this, it's in an ABC chop kind of thing going down. So it really there is no pattern for Meta. There's no Elliott wave down on this thing. It's just in a chop range right now. There is no action. So there you are with Meta on the 24-hour. On the, it's actually having a nice breakout right now. At least it's trying to, in this 15-minute time frame chart. Is breaking out of the pre-market high right now. So a retest of that 614 and then higher. You could scalp this for the long side. Don't overstay your welcome. You've had a lot of sideways action on this thing. I actually was looking for a go long on this yesterday, so I think that this actually could end up being on my list as a go long. I'm going to go ahead and remove this drawing right there. All right, so it also looks like you've got a little bit of a trend right through here. And what it ended up putting in was a triangle consolidation. You see that? And those triangle consolidations pushing up into that, if it comes back into this like that, that's a go long. So good call out on that. Who called out Meta? SK, very nice call out on Meta. Guys, that's it. Thank you so much. Once again, if you're not part of the pre-market report, go ahead and sign up for it. It's in beta phase. It'll be probably in beta phase for another week or so. Have a great day. Good luck. Make lots of money. And I appreciate you all, guys. I appreciate you guys. Have a great one.